So teaching positive psychology, it's engaging, it's fun, it is just great to see how people with a little knowledge can change their perspective, their view, their life, the life of others. So it's great, being in a classroom and seeing the changes in the classroom, and then you had an opportunity to see changes 3 to 6 months, down the road after the classroom, and it's really honored to do this job. It really is. And I said job. It's really not job. And that's, when I do this, I call it, I'm doing this in my free time for now. That's what I call it. And I know that I can just do this, as long as I can walk and talk, and it will be always just great thing to do.
Okay, and you said that you could see changes 3 to 6 months down the road. What kind of changes are you talking about that you perceive in the students?
Sure. So basically, I taught some public classes through the Institute for Advanced Human Performance, which I'm one of the founding members. And so what we do is we have, thanks. So what we do is we have immersion programs. So people come in to full day where we combine a number of interventions. And it's really, combination of science of positive psychology and self-improvement. And the reason I said that is because I think it is important not just to teach this, right? Because one thing is a knowledge, and it's great that they have a knowledge. But what's really important is, what do they do with it? How do they implement it? Can this really change their lives? So just knowledge itself is really not going to do anything, right? So what we do is, during the program, we have a number of interventions that, we don't even call them interventions in the program. Again, remember, this is for public classes. This is not teaching, psychology at university level, so it's not in academia, but it's for people who really want to change their life, who want to improve, who want to do better. And, I used to teach, until recently, I was, for many years, globally certified Dale Carnegie trainer. So I know that, what we can do with the facilitation skill to help people, but what was missing is that science behind it. So, and that's really what I was searching for. That's how I got involved in science of positive psychology. So now, knowing the science behind it, practicing it myself, because I honestly do not teach tools unless it works for me. Now, it doesn't mean it will work for others, but I practice every single one, and every single one, as many as I can, right? And then those are the tools that I teach in the program. And so what are the changes that we see? Usually, here's what happens. During the program, and again, this is not academia, so anytime we teach some of the public, programs, even if it's 3 hours, 10 sessions, or if it's one day, a couple of immersions, people are so excited, they love it, this is great, give us more, this is great, and then they go home, and nothing happens. And that's what scares me, and I don't want that to happen. So the idea was that we're going to teach the program, then we're going to have the online program, then we're going to have the weekly calls, right? So that we do the follow-up with the people, making sure that, because unless they implement the changes, who cares that they told us? This is like going back, to Peter Drucker, who basically, when he was getting old, and I'm sure you know the story, basically he couldn't really travel anymore. So he would invite people to his home, the top execs from Friday to Sunday. And Sunday night, he would tell them, don't call me Monday and tell me how great this was. Tell me, what are you doing differently based on this knowledge? So that's really what, what we do. And I think it's important that as practitioners and teachers of positive psychology, that we really teach people not just that knowledge, which is great, but have them practice and make sure this really helps their life.
In your words, how would you describe student transformations that happen in your positive psychology classroom?
I think this, what I was just talking about earlier, we can connect now this question, because here's what we see. First, during the program, we see that people get more optimistic. We see that giving them that scientific background, telling them, here's the because usually that's how we do it. We say, here's the tool, here's what happened, here's the research, here's who did it, here's what worked, and now let's do it. And may or may not work for you. We don't know, right? We don't know, but you got to give it a shot. So first we see that little tiny, you don't know, during the session, everything looks good. And I'm sure as a professor, teacher, practitioner, you know that, right? So let me give you an example of a visualization. So we did, we shared the research on visualization. We did an exercise in the classroom, and then we put the audio exercise on the online piece. And I had an individual who called me and shared what he's done based on the visualization exercise. He said, he started practicing this every day, and we explained everything about the tool and what does it mean. And, it's not about positive thinking. It's not about, check will show up in the mail if you just visualize it, right? So we showed, what's the science behind it, but also that they will help you make some steps, make some changes, right? So, and this individual actually came to me after about 2 months and said that, he kept practicing this, and he said, I can't believe this, that he said, I'm sure that, I made some steps because of this. It's not just because I saw it, but I always wanted to go to Europe. It is like one of those, stories that you just can't almost believe. And he goes, all of a sudden, I have no clue. A friend of mine calls me, and he was going to have a ticket for me to go with him. So it was just interesting. And then, first of all, I kind of wasn't really sure. And, you're always a little skeptical when these things happen, because, this is not about secret and law of intention. But then he got so interested. So he did actually an interview with me on visualization, and he published it in a couple of papers and so on. So all of a sudden now he's an individual who did know nothing about this, who knew nothing about the tool, and now he is writing about it and publishing in some papers. So that was a kind of cool example.
How would you describe what's happening during the process of learning transformation in the positive psychology classroom?
Here's what I think, and certainly this is just my view. I believe that the process in academia, and again, I'm just giving I believe the process that we do on academia level needs to be changed. And the reason I said that is because if we want to teach, people to not just to have a knowledge, but to change and to help others, we have to be able to help them do that, and not just to have a knowledge. So the process, in my view, is combination of giving the science behind it, being able to facilitate really well, and get people involved from the very beginning. Meaning that I don't consider myself teacher, I'm facilitator. I basically got them to do things. That's my job. And it seems, I remember when I was going through, these kind of trainings years ago, going through Dale Carnegie, and it is such a well-known organization. So it looks so simple as you come to their class and you think anybody can teach this, but that's the key. There's so much behind it that you don't tell them what to do. And you know this better than anyone, but we don't tell them what to do. We basically have them figure out their own, and they are the ones doing the work. It's really not me. So I think that's the process that works in any, when some of the people in academia hear, self-help or self-improvement, it's a bad word, but it's not. If we combine these two and call it something else, whatever we call it, but I think once we combine the science with helping other people, that's the process that works. I know it works.
From your experience, what do you perceive are the outcomes of these transformations?
What I see with some of the participants that took our program is that they became more optimistic. But, what Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar would call, grounded optimism. It is not about everything will be fine, right? And my wife and I used to have that. I was like, everything will be fine. She goes, what do you mean it will be fine? right? So it's not just everything will be fine. It's about, I've done this before, and I know I can do this again. So again, that grounded optimism, that learned optimism, as Mr. Seligman calls it, is really what happens. People become more successful. We call this program Life Success. It's all about what's success, right? So become more successful, be that at their work, in relationships, anything that they want to do. They starting meditating. People who never really, meditation was like, what do I do? People just, scare me and sit in a corner and do nothing, and they don't talk, right? So they started meditating. They start doing breathing exercises. I mean, that's like pretty cool, because, we used to tell, our parents, grandparents, take a deep breath. Well, now we explain in the classroom what it really means. And I see people doing that. So those are, they smile more, right? I teach people, and I believe in that, I actually have something, I call it, 5 a.m. wake up with a smile call. And when I hear my alarm, I smile. I swear to God. I may be like pissed off that I have to get up, but I put that smile, literally physically make a move, because I know when I make this move, I'll produce some dopamine. My brain will think I'm happy, even if I'm not, and my day will be good. So we teach these things that people, they believe, they started practicing it. And smile is one of them. The other thing is, small wins. Thinking how to, I just have a colleague 2 days ago who, actually he wasn't even in my program, because I also kind of unofficially teach this where I work, so that I like to help people. And there was an individual who told me that years ago, started writing the book years ago. And now he's a technologist, he's not really doing anymore. And I said, Dwayne, you just got to start doing this. He goes, no. So anyway, I convinced him. I said, all I need you to do is 5 minutes tomorrow morning, and I want email from now on every day. Just say done. And I got 3 emails already. He said done. So those are the things that, small wins. Give me 5 minutes and get some dopamine going, have your brain figure out that I can do this, instead of saying, well, I don't have an hour to write, right? So that's what I see. That's what I see.
Think about a time in your classroom when you experienced a student having a learning transformation as a result of learning a topic associated with positive psychology. And tell me about that experience, or a story about that.
We had my friend and colleague Joanne Kapaditis, who was former Columbia professor of psychology, and she does sometimes programs with us. And she did just a silent walk with people at this place called Grounds for Sculpture. It's like really beautiful, nice, environment. And so it was, I believe, about 15 minutes walk that she did, and then people came back, and it was just some of these people just like, they just couldn't believe, what they've seen, heard, that mindfulness of 15 minutes of just not talking and just being mindful about your surroundings, about, what's happening around you. So that was like one of the aha moments for some of the folks in this particular program. Yeah.
Yeah, mindfulness is a really good one. I always like teaching that one too.
Yeah, I do. That's cool. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add regarding your perception of the learning process of positive psychology in the class?
So what do we need? What else we need to do? What are the other ideas? It would be nice to bring the positive psychology, not just in the classrooms of positive psychology, but in any of the classrooms. So, it could be any teacher just using a strength. Doesn't really have to, get PhD like you getting in order to be able to help people use their strength. Think of Martha Collins, just teachers who will figure out how to, help others just focus on their strength. I mean, that's one thing that could be done in a classroom. Another thing is really helping people understand that this also takes work. So we can't just say that, positive psychology is we're going to teach you this stuff and, you'll be happy ever after. It's not also about happiness. It is about happiness, but it's also about, curiosity, as Dr. Todd Kashdan calls it. It's about a lot of things. So it's not just about, that's why this name is sometimes, a lot of us are not so happy with the name, because it's about having more meaningful life, right? It's about having more meaningful life, better vision, better relationships, just living. And what can we do to help people? I think, kind of going back to my earlier discussion, it is not only what happens in the classroom. It's actually much more what happens outside the classroom. And I think we need to make that clear. It is about what they do with these tools, right? So they might pass and get, the top score and everything, but we need to drill this that, you got to try these tools to see if it works for you. See if you can help others do this. So I think teachers, and also, in the classroom, have, bring as many tools as possible. Use the web, do this kind of interviews with people and share right in the classroom what other experts think about it. And make as many tools available to them, be that, online, video conferencing, one-on-one. But again, it's assuring that the kids, I call them, right? So if it is a classroom, that they will, and not all will, right? But that these are really like life skills. This is not, we need math, we need English, we need everything. But unfortunately, skill that nobody taught us is, how do we live? And this is almost like, how do you live your life? To me, this is essential skill that, we should be teaching in the classroom.
What do you see as maybe a response from the students as being beneficial to them of what they take away and then carry with them down the road?
So if we talk about some specific tools, I can tell you that journaling was one of the tools that I see a lot of people do, write 3 good things. And we make it really simple. So that's, based on research by Laura King and Chad Barton. So that's definitely one thing that we see people doing and tell us that, hey, this is really working. I see a lot of, people doing visualization, breathing, mindfulness, just doing, 2 minutes. I see a lot of people doing more exercise, right? Starting exercising. Because we teach about that too, the magic bullet exercise. And I teach a lot on topic of habits. As you know, so I'm just about to, the book hopefully will be published soon. So it's Habits and Happiness, and I thank you. And so I teach, and as you start, and this is really important. So with the habits, you have them start a little bit. So, introduce a habit of, try to do exercise. Well, I don't have time. I understand. How about 2 minutes in the morning? How about, first morning you just like put your shoes on and that's it, done. I'm good. I put my sneakers the next day. So on and so on. But the bottom line is that introducing one good habit or one good positive or, one tool from positive psychology, and as you see it work, it kind of helps you. Again, it's all about the dopamine in the brain and neuroscience. It helps you to say, what, this is cool. Let me do more of these kind of things. And then one will help you introduce another one and another. So your life, little by little, from, exercising 5 minutes a day to having a healthier lunch to making my friend, when we go Friday lunch, not to drink Coke. That was like, so fine. He had a hamburger, but he doesn't have a Coke when he goes out with me as a water. So there is little wins that will help people, introducing more and more tools. And I think that's really, really important.